Chapter 701. Elementalist Charge. Raging Flames. A pillar of fire shot up from beneath the stone pillar and enveloped Hazy Scene. Zhao Yuji really liked this move. It was a very flashy entrance and it also made it difficult for the opponent to grasp his whereabouts. Zhao Yuji felt great just thinking about it. It would be the same as before, right? Zhao Yuji thought to himself. When he quickly cast his spell and prepared to attack his target, he suddenly discovered that he couldn't find his target. He could see a lot of players in his field of view, but none of them were his target. Where did that enlightened lord go? Zhao Yuji had been delighted at himself because he thought the opponent wouldn't be able to find him, but he didn't think that he himself would be the one to be unable to find his opponent. The pillar of fire from raging flames would hide him from view, but it also obstructed his line of sight. During that time, Enlightened Lord unexpectedly disappeared from view. There were players running around and fighting everywhere. Just where did he go? He had already cast the spell and the skill went on cooldown. If he didn't throw the spell somewhere, it would be a waste. Zhao Yuji was helpless. He could only place the heavenly lightning earth and fire at the position where he remembered Enlightened Lord being at. Hazy Scene soon landed on the ground. There was still no sign of Enlightened Lord inside Heavenly Lightning's area of effect. Finding a specific person in such a large-scale fight wasn't easy, even for a pro player. Pro players wouldn't practice this sort of combat awareness. The team competitions were 5 versus 5. Why would he ever need to practice large-scale battles like the one taking place here? However, all pro players came from the game. If the pro player never played the game, how did the pro player get noticed? Zhao Yuji wasn't a stranger to large-scale battles. He didn't care about which side won the battle. He only wanted to hurry up and find that Enlightened Lord. Zhao Yuji thought in this way, but who else did? Anyone with a Howling Height guild tag was a target for Heavenly Justice. As soon as he landed, several players started attacking him. Zhao Yuji was truly quite skilled. Hazy Scene landed on the ground and did a 180-degree turn. His elementalist chanted several instant cast spells, stopping the incoming players from closing in on him. Then, he formed an elemental power, launching 3 players into the air. Zhao Yuji had no plans on tussling with these players and dashed into the enemy ranks. His elementalist charged into battle like a battle mage. Zhao Yuji clearly didn't think much of these players. Of course, if he really was up against so many enemies alone, he wouldn't be so rash. However, he knew that he wasn't a lone soldier fighting an army. He might not admit it, but he was very satisfied with how Howling Heights coordinated with his movements. It was the same as before. West Riding Wind knew that he couldn't order Zhao Yuji to do anything, so he dispatched a group to assist Zhao Yuji. It was very effective. Zhao Yuji's skill level was much higher than the enemy players and he easily tore through Heavenly Justice's formation. West Riding Wind immediately ordered his troops to charge through that opening. Even though Zhao Yuji's target wasn't the group battle, West Riding Wind still fully utilized his skills. Cut off their contact with the boss. That night, West Riding Wind shouted. He hoped Zhao Yuji would see this point and help him attack that night, but he knew that it was just an extravagant hope. Zhao Yuji was only thinking to kill that god to show off his skills. How could he care about a boss? Who would have thought that before he even finished yelling it out, he saw a spell hit that night? It hit that night right when the boss was attacking him too. Not only did both attacks hit and deal heavy damage, but it also interrupted the knight's rhythm. Gladiator Vitalivis's direct hit knocked the knight to the ground. That attack was too beautiful. West Riding Wind praised. It was unexpectedly Zhao Yuji's Hazy Scene, who executed that attack. West Riding Wind's impression of Zhao Yuji improved by a lot. When it mattered, that punk was really dependable. Protect him. On Heavenly Justice's side, 80% of Yishu's attention was on the boss. How could he not have seen that attack? Don't look at how their knight group was leading the boss along, the crucial moments depended on that knight called Knight of the West. The other knights were relying on their taunt skills to hold the boss. Those taunts couldn't chain together for very long. A steady control over the aggro still depended on Knight of the West. Heavenly Justice had failed to protect Knight of the West, but then again, Zhao Yuji wasn't an ordinary person. His attack had been extremely precise. He borrowed Gladiator Vitalivis's attack to put the Knight of the West in danger. Knight of the West wasn't always Gladiator Vitalivis's target. His aggro was constantly being split between the other knights. Knight of the West just happened to be in the way. The boss wasn't so stupid that he wouldn't care about any other players when he was heading towards his target. Right when Gladiator Vitalives happened to be attacking Knight of the West, Zhao Yuji attacked. A pro player truly did know how to seize opportunities. Yi Shu immediately ordered players to go up and protect him. At the same time, he healed Knight of the West. Fortunately, Gladiator Vitalives' aggro wasn't on Knight of the West at that time, so he didn't continue attacking. If not, even an immortal would have trouble saving Knight of the West. Gladiator Vitalives didn't continue. How could Howling Heights miss this opportunity? West Riding Wind had his troops charge ferociously to do anything they could to take down Knight of the West. Yi Shu had predicted it though. After Knight of the West was rescued, he didn't continue attacking the boss and instead retreated to the protection of his allies. If he didn't attack, the boss's aggro on him would slowly decrease, but his life was much more important right now. Yi Shu was prompt with his decisions. Although Howling Heights pounced on him fiercely, the target was quickly protected. No matter how fiercely they fought, they wouldn't be able to kill their target. As the two sides fought, Yi Shu finally noticed Hazy Scene. That attack was perfectly timed. If it was on purpose, then no matter if it was his mechanics or his awareness, this player was very skilled. Any player could see that. Who is he? Yi Shu asked Thousand Falling Leaves. He was using a cleric, so he often stood with Thousand Falling Leaves, who was also a cleric. Who? Thousand Falling Leaves didn't know who Yi Shu was talking about. That elementalist, Hazy Scene, Yi Shu said. No idea. I don't recognize him, Thousand Falling Leaves said. He's quite skilled. After Yi Shu noticed him, he could tell that he was an expert. That previous attack wasn't a coincidence. He is. Ocean Ahead walked over and commented. Players of the same class like to compare themselves to one another. Ocean Ahead had been comparing himself with Hazy Scene ever since he started noticing him. He was quite surprised because this person wasn't an ordinary expert. While Yi Shu and the others were observing him, Zhao Yuji was constantly searching. In the end, he finally found Enlightened Lord. He really is still here. Zhao Yuji was delighted. West Riding Wind thought his attack was to help him win this battle for the boss, but in reality, Zhao Yuji wanted to injure the enemy's core in order to lure Enlightened Lord out. Now that he finally found his target, he tossed the boss aside and directly went after Enlightened Lord. West Riding Wind wasn't ready for such a sudden change in target. Although the two sides didn't communicate, he always sent out players to assist him. It was a crucial moment for the boss right now, but Hazy Scene was suddenly going somewhere else. West Riding Wind turned around and saw Enlightened Lord. He's still trying to go after the leader? West Riding Wind thought about it. That was good too. If they could get rid of the leader, their victory would be that much easier. As a result, while he continued to have his players cut off heavenly justice from the boss, he also sent out a portion of his players to assist Zhao Yu's attack. He's coming, Ocean Ahead cried out, when he saw Hazy Scene charging over. He's charging over. These words were rarely used to describe an elementalist. He's coming for you, God, Thousand Falling Leaves shouted. Protect me, Yi Shu said. This was very normal for a cleric, but it felt weird for Ocean Ahead and Thousand Falling Leaves, hearing it come out of Yi Shu's mouth. Thinking was one thing, but they still did what they had to do. Ocean Ahead waved his staff and cast a firewall towards Hazy Scene to push him back. Hazy Scene flickered and warped through the firewall with a teleport. He waved his staff and returned a firewall to push Yi Shu and the others towards him. The other Howling Height players ignored the firewall. They had clerics. That little amount of damage was nothing. With a firewall coming at him, Yi Shu had Enlightened Lord retreat as he continued to instruct the knights on the other side. Pull it towards the trap zone. Yi Shu didn't shout this order out and instead typed it into the team chat. The knights understood. They had prepared this setup beforehand. The knights checked the direction and pulled Gladiator Vitalives over. The eyes of the thieves, who had set up the traps, lit up. They had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Chapter 702. Just this guild. Don't run, Zhao Yuji shouted loudly, when he saw Enlightened Lord retreating. Yi Shu ignored him. He focused on instructing the knights on dealing with the boss because the boss would soon enter the trap zone set up by their group's thieves. Zhao Yu's Hazy Scene chased after Yi Shu. Ocean Ahead noticed that this enemy elementalist was very skilled and wanted to confirm it for himself. After sending players out to block any enemy support, the two elementalists began fighting each other. On the boss's side, Gladiator Vitalives was chasing after the taunting Heavenly Justice Knights. The Howling Height Knights followed after the Gladiator like idiots. No matter what they tried, they couldn't get the boss's attention. Helpless, they could only use their bodies to block the Gladiator from advancing. The boss wouldn't just lock onto their target and ignore everything else. When it needed to attack, it would attack. The Howling Height Knights stalled for time using their bodies as meat shields. The rest of their group charged over and tried to disrupt the enemy's control over the boss's aggro. Heavenly Justice was obviously trying their hardest to prevent that from happening. Characters fell one after another. Equipment dropped all over the ground, but not many paid too much attention to these pieces of equipment. The wild boss was way more important than anything else right now. Any losses in the battle would be compensated by the guild, so no one complained. Gladiator Vitalives had difficulty advancing because of this night blockade. There were always Howling Height players in front of him risking their life to block its path. A huge number of players slowly moved forward in this way. Ahead of them was the trap zone. Heavenly Justice was well aware of it and tried their hardest to conceal it. Howling Heights didn't notice it though. They continued to tussle with the boss until the first trap activated. Bang! A blaze exploded into a lotus flower, a fire trap. That wasn't the only trap in the area. As soon as the first trap triggered, two other traps next to it also triggered. A sea of fire instantly engulfed any surrounding players. The Heavenly Justice players wouldn't take damage from the triggered traps. Gladiator Vitalives was a powerful level 70 wild boss. Let alone 3 traps, 30 traps were nothing to him. The Howling Height players suffered though. They were focusing on blocking the boss from reaching Heavenly Justice's players and had no idea that there would be traps placed here. The damage from 3 fire traps wouldn't be enough to instantly kill anyone, but Heavenly Justice wasn't just standing around, watching the flames burn. When the traps triggered, Heavenly Justice immediately barraged Howling Heights Knights with AoE attacks, instantly killing numerous players. There are traps, Howling Heights finally noticed them. Disarm them, someone shouted. Several characters rushed out from the troops and ran forward into the area of traps. Not long afterwards, a few traps had already been disarmed. Thieves could place traps and disarm traps. In addition, thieves were Howling Heights' specialty. The Alliance's #1 thief player, Fang Rui, was a part of Team Wind Howl. Whether it was playing dirty or using thieves, Howling Heights were the experts of it all. At this moment, the thief group skillfully disarmed numerous traps, making Heavenly Justice's thieves quite gloomy. Have people leave the group and trigger the traps. Seeing how skillful Howling Heights was at disarming traps, Yi Shu gave a ruthless order. Because he wasn't familiar with the players in the group, it wasn't good to pick out names for this kind of suicidal tactic. He simply passed it on to Thousand Falling Leaves and had her arrange it. Don't look at Thousand Falling Leaves as a girl. She was quite decisive. Without any delay, she gave the order in the group. The names didn't matter. It was more important that the ones who undertook the task would be compensated. The dirty thieves immediately became brave after knowing that they would be compensated for their actions. Thousand Falling Leaves obviously couldn't have them swarm out into the field and make a mess, so she picked out names and made arrangements. The first willing player from Heavenly Justice headed back to the battlefield. The Howling Height thieves were still disarming traps, when suddenly, bang, numerous traps triggered and exploded. All of the traps were AoE attacks. In an instant, poison, ice, and fire swallowed their group. The thieves from Howling Heights were all experts. No one questioned whether one of them had been careless. They guessed that Heavenly Justice had directly dispatched players to trigger the traps. In an instant, all of the thieves knew that their situation wasn't looking up. They weren't tanky classes in the first place. After being caught up in the explosion of several traps, their health bars had drastically fallen. Heavenly Justice had naturally made arrangements beforehand. Heavenly Justice's executioners launched their attacks and wiped out the Howling Height thieves. The boss wasn't affected in any way. Heavenly Justice's knights were heavily protected. They didn't need to come any closer to the traps either. For now, Howling Heights had no way of disrupting them. Many of their troops were supporting Zhao Yuji and coordinating with him. And now, when they needed him the most, instead of helping them stop Heavenly Justice from killing the boss, he just had to go over and kill the other side's leader. There was nothing wrong with this type of strategy, but they had been trying for a long time now, yet the enemy leader wasn't under any pressure. It was hard to avoid people from criticizing it. Howling Heights Thief Group didn't dare to move forward again. If they did, the other side would launch suicide attacks again. It was pointless to force their way through the traps. The boss is still advancing. Howling Heights didn't have any choice left. In the end, instead of blocking the boss from advancing, they would let the boss move through the traps before trying to snatch the boss back. Watch their thieves carefully. As the guild leader, West Riding Wind couldn't only give orders. He had to survey the entire battlefield. Right now, their forces were split into two sections. One side was fighting with Zhao Yuji and trying to kill the enemy leader, while the other side was trying to block the boss, but neither side was going well. If neither side was working, why not try focusing on one side? West Riding Wind decided to concentrate their forces towards one side, but which one? It was too easy to choose. He couldn't order Zhao Yuji to do anything, and since Zhao Yuji refused to give up, wasn't that the only side he could choose? He obviously wouldn't shout this order for everyone to hear. West Riding Wind gave the order in the team chat. Howling Heights quickly shifted their attention and began coordinating with Zhao Yu's hazy scene. Ocean Ahead was attempting to measure Zhao Yu's skill, but in such a chaotic battle, who would give them a peaceful environment to fight in? As they fired spells at each other, their respective allies also rushed forward. A chaotic battle wasn't a bunch of 1-versus-1 fights taking place simultaneously. Just attack wherever there was an opportunity to. Who could care about all the other details? In the midst of the chaotic battle, Zhao Yuji once again created an opening in Heavenly Justice's formation. Ocean Ahead's attacks didn't seem to be stopping him, which made Ocean Ahead very shocked. Not being able to beat God Yi Chu was whatever, but where did this guy come out from? Who are you? Ocean Ahead couldn't help but ask. Zhao Yuji was slightly surprised. He was so confident that he had forgotten about his circumstances. He thought that after being awarded the title of Best Rookie this season, everyone would recognize him. Now that he was asked this question, he suddenly realized he was in the game, using an alternate account. His enemies didn't know who he was. However, this question also confirmed that his skill level far exceeded that of a normal player. Of course, it would be surprising to see someone with such skills in the game. Zhao Yuji had no intention of keeping a low profile. He had been very happy after receiving the award. There were also no matches to be played during their vacation period, which was why he had gone to the game to show off in the first place. Now that someone had noticed his existence, he suddenly became even more prideful. Zhao Yuji. After saying this name, Zhao Yuji mercilessly returned a spell at his opponent. Zhao Yuji. Ocean Ahead was surprised when he heard this name. He wasn't too surprised now that he was having trouble against him. This season's best rookie. Even though it couldn't compare to something like the MVP title, since it was restricted to only pro players in their first year of their career, being called the best rookie proved that he was an outstanding talent. Ocean Ahead adjusted his position. He didn't dare to underestimate any pro player, let alone one with such an impressive award. Best rookie, Zhao Yuji? When this name came out, Ocean Ahead wasn't the only one who heard it. Because he was an elementalist, he was more familiar with pro-elementalist players, so he immediately recalled this name. The other players took a bit longer, but they quickly realized who was in front of them. Best rookie. Even though he was still a rookie, he still won this award. He had already garnered quite a bit of attention during the season. Zhao Yuji wasn't a new name. Even more people remembered it after he won the award. Now that Heavenly Justice's players finally realized who it was, they were slightly stunned from astonishment. Not bad. Not bad at all. Zhao Yuji was very satisfied by the shock that his name brought to the other players. West Riding Wind was crafty. He knew that when Zhao Yuji shouted out his name, Heavenly Justice would certainly pause for a very short moment. Charge, 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 charge. How could he let this opportunity slide? That instant, West Riding Wind gave a loud roar. The Howling Heights players all charged forward and broke apart Heavenly Justice's formation. Enlightened Lord, who was suspected to be God Yi Chu, wasn't he standing right there? Retreat. Yishu also gave the order. Heavenly Justice quickly pulled back. When all of the Heavenly Justice players gathered together, West Riding Wind suddenly felt like something wasn't right. 4 Guild Alliance. Why is there only Heavenly Justice? Where are the other 3 guilds? Relay, Yi Shu typed out. Kill. The cries of countless players echoed out. Conquering clouds suddenly popped out from the incline. With conquering clouds behind and heavenly justice in front, Howling Heights had been successfully flanked. F***CK. This stupid place. West Riding Wind was furious. Dalaki Stadium's terrain allowed the other side to set up an ambush, and he hadn't noticed it at all. Chapter 703. Support. Heavenly Justice had already started falling apart from their attacks, when Conquering Cloud suddenly rushed out and disrupted the balance of the battlefield. They were like the Great Wall. They suddenly popped up from the incline and blocked the way. Heavenly Justice knew about them beforehand and calmly left the battlefield. Zhao Yuji saw that his target was running away and attacked with a flurry of spells in anger. West Riding Wind didn't care about any of that. Heavenly Justice can run however they like to, but don't bring the boss with you. Yes, Conquering Clouds was standing between Howling Heights and Heavenly Justice, but how could Howling Heights just let Heavenly Justice go so easily? Of course not. However, both sides had been cut off. The side going after the boss was also being blocked by Conquering Cloud's sudden appearance. The few players still near Gladiator Vitalives were scattered around and surrounded by enemy troops. Before they could do anything, the enemy killed them off. West Riding Wind saw Heavenly Justice's knights continue provoking the boss, leading the gladiator farther and farther away. And them. They could only watch helplessly. How could they break through the carefully prepared defense set up by Conquering Clouds so easily? Even with Zhao Yuji, it wouldn't be possible to do it so quickly. Zhao Yuji was starting to lose his patience too. He was randomly firing off attacks to vent his anger, making it impossible for West Riding Wind to coordinate with him. Afterwards, Hazy Scene suddenly disappeared. Where'd he go? For a moment, West Riding Wind really couldn't find him with so many people out there. He didn't have time to worry about him though. Gladiator Vitalives had completely escaped from their attack range. As time went on, their aggro on the boss would slowly decrease. Heavenly Justice would then be able to easily take the boss for themselves. West Riding Wind was becoming anxious. He wasn't in the mood to waste time fighting with Conquering Clouds. He looked closely at the direction Heavenly Justice was heading towards and immediately ordered his troops to pretend to retreat. They would switch directions and cut them off. He wasn't willing to lose the boss just like this. It hadn't been easy winning against Tyrannical Ambition and Misty Castle. Tyrannical Ambition? Misty Castle? He suddenly thought of these 2 guilds. West Riding Wind realized that he couldn't ignore these 2 guilds either. These 2 guilds hadn't given up yet. After Howling Heights snatched the boss from Tyrannical Ambition with the help of Zhao Yuji, Tyrannical Ambition had been counter-attacking fiercely the entire time. Misty Castle glared at them like a tiger watching its prey as well. Howling Heights had been defending against them the entire time, but now? Right when West Riding Wind was thinking about this, he saw Tyrannical Ambition and Misty Castle players enter his view. Heavenly Justice's sudden interference disrupted the balance. Howling Heights had invested more and more resources into dealing with Heavenly Justice. With their defenses weakening, they finally couldn't defend against those 2 guilds any longer. West Riding Wind obviously wasn't so stupid as to think that they could win a 1v3 with just Zhao Yuji. It was just that since they had the boss and weren't having trouble fighting it, he thought they would be able to last until the boss was killed. However, he didn't think that Heavenly Justice, with God Yi Chu leading them, would be so fearsome. After rushing into battle, they directly took the boss from the hands of the tank, secondary tank, and third tank, instantly turning the tables on Howling Heights. The situation didn't end up in a deadlock like West Riding Wind had expected. Instead, they had been led around by their noses. Under such circumstances, how could Howling Heights care about Tyrannical Ambition or Misty Castle? Tyrannical Ambition's and Misty Castle's goal wasn't to take down Howling Heights. They wanted the boss too. They had been delighted when Heavenly Justice suddenly interfered. They thought that they could use this opportunity to win the upper hand. However, they didn't think that Heavenly Justice would be so quick. Heavenly Justice charged in and charged out with the boss without tussling with them. The 2 guilds thought they could take advantage of the situation when they saw the boss being taken away. The 2 guilds also hastily chased after it, when they saw this scene as well. The other side had set up hidden troops to provide support, blocking any pursuers and allowing them to make a smooth escape. These 2 guilds didn't go and fight with Conquering Clouds. They reacted faster and immediately circled around to cut Heavenly Justice off. West Riding Wind saw these two guilds running in that direction and immediately knew what they were planning. How could he rest? Without any delay, he ordered everyone to also give chase, but they were in a tougher spot. Conquering Clouds was following them like a ghost, refusing to leave. If they turned around to fight, they would lose time. If they ignored them, wouldn't they get wiped out? If they split forces, they wouldn't be able to beat Tyrannical Ambition and Misty Castle. West Riding Wind also didn't forget this time. Heavenly Justice and Conquering Clouds had appeared, but the other side still had two other guilds in their alliance. Where were Parade and Radiant? West Riding Wind deeply felt the disruption towards the wild boss competition brought by this alliance. It seemed like, in the future, all of the guilds would need to dispatch more troops. If not, it would be way too difficult to fight against these four guilds. However, that was all in the future. It was too late now. West Riding Wind finally decided to split his troops. A portion of his troops would fight with Conquering Clouds and the other portion would carefully pursue the boss. The other side still had two guilds that hadn't shown their faces yet. West Riding Wind hoped that these two guilds would stop Tyrannical Ambition and Misty Castle. Everything happened as West Riding Wind wanted it to. When the portion of his troops circled around to cut off Heavenly Justice's path, they saw Tyrannical Ambition being blocked by Radiant. Tyrannical Ambition was quite ferocious though. They seemed prepared to directly charge through Radiant's defenses. Their elites were truly very powerful. Many players in Tyrannical Ambition were fearless men. It was all related to their team's playstyle. West Riding Wind obviously wouldn't go and join the battle. He led his group to circle around them, when he saw Misty Castle and Parade fighting with each other. Misty Castle wasn't as tough. They wanted to shrug off Parade, but Parade refused to let them go. West Riding Wind didn't join them and was prepared to circle around them. But this time, he felt a bad premonition. Circle, circle, circle. Circle to where? Did he still know where Heavenly Justice was? West Riding Wind thought of the direction Heavenly Justice had headed off towards and his current location. His heart suddenly froze. Now he understood the intentions of these three guilds. To block them? Yes, but more importantly, it was to stall for time. The other side didn't plan on simplifying matters and attacking the boss, while defending against their enemies. The other side was very careful and crafty. They repeatedly blocked their pursuers until no one knew where Heavenly Justice had led the boss to. F***CK. This D**Minnesota terrain, West Riding Wind cursed again. This Dalaki Stadium had medium-sized fields inside large fields and small fields inside medium-sized fields, all separated from one another. There were also plenty of drains and moats everywhere. It currently looked like a perfectly straight path, but there might be holes and tunnels along the sides, leading to other places. It was very easy to hide in this map. Heavenly Justice had 100 players attacking the boss. Even though the target was big, Gladiator Vitalives didn't have much health left. Heavenly Justice now had control over the boss too. The boss would probably be dead very soon. If he sent out scouts to search for them, by the time they found them and sent their troops over, would the boss even be alive? West Riding Wind was gloomy. He even had reports saying so-and-so guild had arrived, but West Riding Wind knew that no matter how many guilds arrived, it would be useless. If he received these reports, Heavenly Justice certainly received them too. If they avoided these guilds, they would certainly have enough time to take down the Gladiator. Their boiled duck flew away in the end. West Riding Wind had already lost all hope. He saw that his troops were still anxiously searching around. He didn't want to ruin everyone's mood, so he thought about how he should tell everyone their current pickle, when he suddenly received a message. West Riding Wind opened it listlessly. It was Hazy Scene, Zhao Yu's character. There were no words, just two numbers and a period, coordinates. Ah, is that the boss's location? West Riding Wind replied. Hurry, Zhao Yuji replied. West Riding Wind didn't mind this harsh reply. His bad impression of Zhao Yuji immediately went away. We'll be there immediately, West Riding Wind replied. Afterwards, he gave a shout and told everyone to rush towards the coordinates sent by Zhao Yuji. He really was an expert and a talent. West Riding Wind kept thinking to himself. Zhao Yuji was able to figure out the enemy's location all by himself. Had he silently followed them at that time? West Riding Wind thought. He was happy that Wind Howl had such a talented player. The duck that flew away had just landed back in their hands. At some place in Dalaki Stadium, Heavenly Justice finally escaped from danger and took control over the boss. They had more than enough players left to finish off the boss. Everyone's morale was high. Right when they were about to take down the boss, the elementalist Hazy Scene suddenly appeared in front of them. Zhao Yuji, quite a few players shouted. Yi Shu asked. He had been busy commanding the troops earlier, so when Zhao Yuji shouted out his name, so he hadn't noticed. Best rookie, Ocean Ahead said solemnly. Oh, from Wind Howl, Yi Shu said. Yes, Ocean Ahead was wary of Hazy Scene. The other side didn't seem to have any intentions of charging at them. After all, he was just one person. Challenge everyone all by himself? What a joke. Even so, he wasn't standing so far as if he had people backing him. That little kid's like a ghost who refuses to leave. Kill him, Yi Shu said. You go, Ocean Ahead was excited. Two experts were about to fight. Enlightened Lord turned around to look at him. Bro, I'm a cleric right now. You go. God, don't joke with me, Ocean Ahead cried. Chapter 704. Unafraid against 10. Ocean Ahead and Zhao Yuji had fought against each other earlier. Although it wasn't a true 1v1 and no winner was decided, Ocean Ahead had experienced Zhao Yuji's skill for himself. The notion, which Yi Shu helped him realize, that pro players aren't as simple as you think, was once again reinforced. God Yi Chu suddenly called him to go and fight him. Ocean Ahead wasn't confident at all though. What are you afraid of? Yi Shu asked. I don't think I'm his opponent, Ocean Ahead admitted honestly. You have 100 players backing you. What are you afraid of? Yi Shu was gloomy. Oh, that's true, Ocean Ahead suddenly understood. It turns out Yi Shu wanted him to bully Zhao Yuji with numbers. He thought Yi Shu wanted him to duel him. Hurry. If he's here, Howling Heights will probably be here soon too. We'll first stop him, while the rest continue to move the boss. Yi Shu made a decision. Understood, Ocean Ahead didn't hesitate this time and lead the attack. At the same time, he called out a few players in the chat to support him. Everyone else prepared to move the boss away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Zhao Yu's eyes swept over the field and he saw 10 players rushing towards him. The rest were preparing to move. 10 players. Zhao Yuji sneered. This sneer was towards Enlightened Lord, who was among those 10 players. A great god like Yi Chu actually had to bring 10 other players with him before daring to attack. What a joke. Zhao Yuji looked down on this god, but he didn't dare to treat these 10 players lightly. He had fought against Ocean Ahead before, and he still had an impression of him. Although Ocean Ahead's skill level wasn't anything amazing, he still recognized that it exceeded a normal player's skill. If it were just 10 normal players, Zhao Yuji wouldn't pay any attention to them. However, there was someone with some skill among these 10 players, so Zhao Yuji couldn't be careless. However, Zhao Yuji had no intentions of retreating. Long-ranged classes like elementalists had an innate advantage when fighting against many. Kiting from afar allowed him to do just that. The composition of the team being sent to deal with him was a bit troublesome. Zhao Yuji really wanted to show off. He wanted to see just how much ability a retired god and a somewhat skilled player had. The 10 players rushed forward. The first to attack was actually from Zhao Yu's Hazy Scene, showing his boundless confidence. Oh, how wonderful. He actually didn't run. Yi Shu was delighted. Ocean Ahead had asked Yi Shu how many players he should ask to come with him. At that time, Yi Shu told him that if he brought too many, they would scare off the other side. If he brought too few, they wouldn't be able to bully the other side with their numbers advantage. In the end, Yi Shu told him that they should have around 10 players. He was certain that Zhao Yuji wouldn't retreat against this number. Even though Yi Shu hadn't paid too much attention to Hazy Scene today, when Ocean Ahead told him that he was Zhao Yuji, Yi Shu knew very well who this person was. He didn't need to see it for himself to know the skill level of Howling Heights' best rookie. Zhao Yuji took the initiative to attack. He cast a spell directly targeted at Enlightened Lord. Yi Shu's Enlightened Lord was the only healer among these 10 players. When fighting one against many, if the opponent's side had a healer, it was common sense that there was no way of winning. In order to have a chance, killing the healer was crucial. Zhao Yuji was very courageous. He saw a healer among his opponents, yet he still dared to fight. He clearly didn't care about anyone other than Enlightened Lord and Ocean Ahead. In his eyes, it was pretty much a 1v2. Enlightened Lord sidestepped the spell. Among the 10-player team, there were 2 long-ranged attackers, Ocean Ahead and a launcher. When they saw Hazy Scene attacking, the 2 didn't hesitate to return fire. Hazy Scene dodged while retreating. No matter how confident Zhao Yuji was, he wasn't so stupid as to let his elementalist get surrounded by them. He had to keep his distance. Retreat while casting. Pro players could utilize their hand speed to gain time. It was very scary for normal players. Hazy Scene directly cast a high-leveled spell, Heavenly Lightning Earth and Fire. Scatter. Yi Shu had given the order earlier. He didn't say it out loud, but rather typed it in the team chat. The instant Heavenly Lightning Earth and Fire rained down, the 10 players scattered. In the end, only 2 players, who reacted slowly, were trapped inside. Zhao Yuji wasn't happy at his result. It seemed like he had been too obvious, allowing the other side to see through his intentions. No matter the case, a retired god had plenty of experience. Zhao Yuji couldn't fight so simply anymore. Yi Shu cast a heal over time spell, which healed health every 3 seconds for 12 seconds, on the 2 players who were trapped inside Heavenly Lightning's effective area and then left them alone. He instructed the other 8 to surround Hazy Scene. Zhao Yuji didn't think of using this opportunity to kill off those 2 trapped players. That sort of delay could put him in a dangerous situation. He wasn't stupid. He needed a better opportunity. When fighting one against many, he had to keep his distance while dealing damage. He needed to be patient. Understanding the situation, Zhao Yuji wasn't rash. Seeing the other side closing in, he chose to move backwards. At the same time, he noticed the other side moving the boss away and guessed the other side's intentions. Zhao Yuji obviously wouldn't let their plans go smoothly so easily. As he kited the enemy pursuers, he also planned on chasing after Heavenly Justice. His retreat direction would be in the same direction as Heavenly Justice. Attack him from all sides. Cover his back. 3 swordsmen close in on him in a triangular formation. Don't be in a hurry to chase after him. We have to restrict his movements, Yi Shu instructed. A method like mindlessly chasing after a character and attacking wouldn't be effective against a pro player. Not only would their attacks not hit, they wouldn't be able to disrupt the enemy's goal either. If they blindly chased after the enemy would just be leading them around by the nose, especially in a situation where they were fighting against one person with many. Blindly chasing after the target and attacking was a waste of their numbers advantage. After being instructed, Ocean Ahead cast a Heavenly Lightning Earth and Fire around Hazy Scene. Zhao Yuji saw it and gave another nod towards Ocean Ahead's skill level. In front of him was a Berserker and 2 Blade Masters. The 3 didn't stay close to each other. Instead, they spread out in a triangle formation as if they were planning on trapping him inside a net. "Do you want to stop me like this?" Zhao Yuji sneered again. He instantly saw through the other side's intentions, but he didn't care about these 3 characters. Even if these little characters were arranged in a solid formation, did they have the ability to keep him here? Forcefully charge through them. Zhao Yuji decided. Hazy Scene didn't avoid them. Instead, he directly charged at the 3 swordsmen. As he ran, he used his quick hand speed to quickly cast low-leveled spells. These spells were almost instantaneous casts. Hazy Scene's staff traveled in a circle, shooting 3 spells at each of the 3 targets. Hazy Scene rushed towards the Berserker following behind the frostball he sent out. The Berserker ignored the frostball and met with him face to face. Zhao Yuji wasn't surprised. The Berserker didn't need to care about this tiny bit of damage, but did that Berserker really think that this frostball was to open up a pathway for him? The Berserker closed in on his target. He was about to use a skill, when he heard a bang and his character flew up into the air. Raging Flames. Zhao Yuji had used Frostball to hide his raging flames. The Berserker wasn't prepared at all. He didn't think that Hazy Scene's attack would come out ahead of his. The Berserker was launched into the air and Hazy Scene sprinted under him. He also left an elemental power under him. This was a feature of the Elementalist class. The spell covered a large area and had a long duration. During these 3 seconds, any character that was in elemental power's range would stay in the air for longer. Zhao Yuji thought the elemental power he threw down was very well done, but before he could finish being happy, he heard an explosion from behind him. Zhao Yuji looked back and saw that the elemental power had been blown apart by the enemy launcher. A powerful knock-up skill like elemental power naturally had a lot of counterplay. After being thrown down, it could be broken apart in such a way. The enemy side reacted so quickly, surprising Zhao Yuji. Before he could regain his composure, he suddenly felt something abnormal beside him. Zhao Yuji couldn't turn to look in time, so he rolled to the side first. When he looked over, he saw a rectangular object at his former location. Brick throw. This brick came out of nowhere, giving Zhao Yuji a fright. Seeing where this brick was coming from, it would have definitely been a back attack and induced a stun. If he were stunned, he would be surrounded. Even if he could escape, he would be in a sorry state. Under Yichu's lead, the coordination between these guys was very tight. Zhao Yuji thought that the brick and the launcher's attack on the elemental power was all because of Yichu. He turned around to look for Enlightened Lord, when he saw sand coming towards him. Sand toss. Zhao Yuji deserved to be a pro player and the best rookie of the season. He didn't use an unsophisticated method like looking away. While he was still in his roll animation, he rolled again to dodge the sand toss. When he was about to get up, he saw the light around him start to dim. Someone had blocked his path in front, a brawler. His two hands were extended to push down Hazy Scene. Tyrannical Chain Punch. Zhao Yuji was from Team Wind Howl. Which class was Team Wind Howl's best character? A Dirty Thief was one, but the other was their team captain's brawler, 3 hits. And the character who was just about to beat him down was a brawler. If he were hit by Tyrannical Chain Punch, he would be pinned to the ground, giving them more than enough time for them to surround him. He had to roll again. Zhao Yuji reacted incredibly fast. He rolled again and actually dodged the attack. Steamed bun, don't be in such a hurry. Zhao Yuji heard someone say. Chapter 705. So many high-leveled skills. Steamed bun, don't be in such a hurry. When Zhao Yuji heard this voice, he looked around, even while rolling. He quickly swept through the names on the surrounding enemies. He was looking for that steamed bun. From what he just heard, this steamed bun played a crucial role in this fight. The person leading wanted him not to be in a hurry. Zhao Yuji needed to be wary of him. Hazy Scene had been forced to roll several times in a row without being able to get up to counterattack. He was in a dangerous situation, yet the other side unexpectedly didn't immediately follow up with further attacks and instead was told to slow down. Knowing that there must be some sort of card up their sleeve, Zhao Yuji couldn't help but be alarmed. He wanted to hurry and find that steamed bun, so he could prepare himself for whatever came next. But when he looked around at the 10 enemies, there was no one named steamed bun. Zhao Yuji was gloomy. He now knew that the Yichu wasn't calling out a character's name. Which one was steamed bun? Then, he heard a "okay" from in front of him. It's this brawler? Zhao Yuji had good hearing and instantly determined where the voice came from. The brawler, who had just narrowly missed his tyrannical chain punch, was steamed bun. After this, steamed bun replied, he didn't follow up. Yichu was telling him not to attack? Zhao Yuji was surprised. This brawler had forced him to roll continuously in order to survive. He had to admit that this brawler wasn't as weak as he had originally assumed him to be. Even though Zhao Yuji wasn't a brawler player, he wasn't a stranger to it. After all, he was a member of Team Wind Howl. Team Wind Howl had the number 1 thief, but the more famous character was their team captain, Lin Jingyan's character, 3 hits. Although Lin Jingyan was a declining figure, 3 hits was genuinely the number 1 brawler character in the alliance. Zhao Yuji clearly knew how powerful 3 hits was. Having been trained in this kind of team environment, he naturally took more notice on the habits of brawler players. And this steamed bun had actually been instructed to not follow up despite forcing him into an ugly situation? What did he have planned? Pro players were on a relatively higher level and thought more when playing. Zhao Yuji was bewildered and paid full attention to this person in front of him. Then, he saw this brawler suddenly extend his hands. Strangle. Zhao Yuji immediately had Hazy Scene retreat. When fighting 1 versus many, an attack with CC was far more terrifying than a high damage attack. He was also worried about any high-leveled skills from his opponents. He could have dodged the attack with just a single step backwards, but he retreated 3 steps back and continued to watch this brawler's moves carefully. The brawler raised his hands and threw a brick. Zhao Yu's hazy scene tilted his head and dodged it. These two attacks. Zhao Yuji pondered. Truthfully, he couldn't see anything strange about these two attacks, which made him feel even more uneasy. He subconsciously looked around and saw a battle mage behind him raise his spear. Dragon breaks the ranks. This battle mage's equipment wasn't anything good, but this dragon breaks the ranks didn't feel weak. Elementalists didn't have any skills that could directly face such a high priority move like dragon breaks the ranks. Teleport. At the crucial moment, Zhao Yuji teleported. Dragon breaks the ranks passed by, but hazy scene was already gone. Zhao Yuji was able to cast the spell in time, but was left frightened and unsettled in his heart. Difficult. Really difficult. His usage of teleport hadn't been graceful at all. He had used it to run away. Zhao Yuji didn't have time to analyze how he had been forced into such a state when he heard a loud sound from behind him. Flames engulfed his screen. How? Zhao Yuji didn't even have time to check his surroundings after teleporting, when the explosion arrived. No, to put it more accurately, this explosion had arrived the moment hazy scene arrived, not giving him any chance to dodge. He had walked into a trap. The fiery light from the explosion still hadn't faded, but Zhao Yuji was a pro player, after all. He still had the senses he should have. Hazy scene had been in the center of the explosion. The shockwaves from the explosion sent him into the air. Zhao Yuji hastily adjusted his view. He knew that being in the air would give the enemy many opportunities. Once he landed, he might drop into the middle of the enemy's encirclement. The other side had guessed correctly as to where he would choose to teleport to. Was this a coincidence? Zhao Yuji remembered that God Yi Chu was there. He understood that it was something that could be done with the experience he possessed. His teleport had been done in haste. He simply teleported, wherever it was convenient to. It wasn't something difficult to guess. Zhao Yuji adjusted his viewpoint in a bit of a fluster, while quickly activating mobile cast. He felt like the following situation wouldn't be easy. He might not have time to stop and cast any spells, so he decided to activate mobile cast, which would allow him to move and cast spells with greater ease. Fire wall. During his brief duration in the air, Zhao Yuji pushed his hand speed to the limit. When hazy scene landed, he finished his spell. The moment he landed on the ground and got up, he raised his staff and a firewall rose up. Firewall didn't hit any of the enemies. That wasn't why he used the spell, nor was it to block them. The other side had greater numbers. The bit of damage dealt by the firewall was insignificant to them. Zhao Yuji simply wanted to block the other side's line of sight, so that they wouldn't be able to see his position. For normal players, such a reason might sound pointless, but in a high-level battle, it might be enough to turn around the situation. Zhao Yuji became cautious. He clearly didn't dare underestimate those 10 enemies anymore. He wanted to win some time, so he could adjust his attitude and start the battle again with a new mindset. The moment the firewall rose up, flames spouted out from near hazy scene. Dark clouds started to condense above him. Lightning flashed. In the blink of an eye, the lightning above began to weave between the fire spouting from the ground. Heavenly lightning earth and fire was more complicated to execute than fire wall, and it naturally had a longer cast time. If the heavenly lightning rained down at the same time that hazy scene erected a fire wall, there was only one possibility: the other side had predicted where he would land and started casting the spell earlier. Zhao Yuji had been trying to erect a firewall to cover himself. How could he have known the other side had already placed a heavenly lightning at his landing position? Zhao Yuji didn't appear to be too flustered after having been caught though. He was an elementalist, so he was naturally very familiar with elementalist skills. Normal players thought that standing still would allow them to take less damage than if they rushed out of the spell's range, but in the pro scene, the damage taken wasn't their only concern. There were many other things they had to consider. For example, if Zhao Yuji wanted to take less damage from heavenly lightning and stood still, waiting for the spell duration to end, he might be surrounded by his enemies. The small amount of extra health he earned from standing still wouldn't be worth it. As a result, he obviously wouldn't make such a decision. The instant he discovered that heavenly lightning earth and fire was being formed, hazy scene never stopped moving. Zhao Yuji knew how to deal with this attack and prepared to break out of the spell's range. As soon as he stepped forward, he immediately realized that this heavenly lightning earth and fire wasn't being automatically controlled by the system, but rather being controlled by the caster. Controlling the spell by hand would naturally cause the spell to be more focused on the target, but the effectiveness depended on the caster's skill level. Zhao Yuji had only taken 2 steps and he was already feeling truly bitter. The other side's control over Heavenly Lightning, Earth and Fire couldn't be considered amazing, but it was better than the system's automatic control. The advantages of controlling the spell by hand could be seen. Zhao Yuji was still confident in breaking out of the spell's range before the duration ended, but it would definitely take longer than he had originally anticipated. I need to break through forcefully. With no other alternative, he could only go with the heroic option and charge forward, while ignoring any damage taken. He figured out which direction he wanted to move towards and instead of dodging, he directly charged through the spell range. Success! The area ahead was vast and open. Hazy Scene finally made it out from the flashes of lightning and fire. Heavenly Lightning, Earth and Fire still hadn't ended yet. Zhao Yuji turned around to look at the surroundings, when he saw his surroundings turn red like blood. This time, the Berserker skill Crimson Storm was waiting for him. Without a doubt, the other side must have prepared this ambush ahead of time. A high-level skill like Crimson Storm had a long startup animation. Hazy Scene had just broken through Heavenly Lightning, Earth and Fire. It was impossible for the Berserker to have executed the skill in an instant, but in his current situation, Crimson Storm was waiting for him. The Berserker's greatsword crashed into the ground. No matter how capable Zhao Yuji was, this time, he couldn't avoid it. At the same time, 2 brilliant sword lights came flying at him. The 2 blade masters directly executed formless phantom blades on his 2 sides. The Heavenly Lightning, Earth and Fire behind him still hadn't ended yet. The caster had concentrated the attacks behind him as if forming a wall. Hit. In this situation, even Zhao Yuji couldn't escape from being hit. The 2 formless phantom blades intertwined around him. Up above, a thick pillar of light descended from the skies, enveloping Hazy Scene. Launch your high-leveled skill, Satellite Beam. Zhao Yuji finally fell into despair. So many high-leveled skills against one person. Unable to escape, he could only cast some spells to throw some resistance towards his enemies. When he turned around to find a target, he saw that Enlightened Lord and that Steamed Bun standing on the side idly, watching the spectacle. At the same time, Enlightened Lord was instructing him, that tyrannical chain punch from before was too rushed. Go carefully watch the video of Lin Jingyan that I sent you last time and see how he uses it compared to how you use it just now. F***CK, Zhao Yuji listened. Whatever spells Hazy Scene was about to cast went up in smoke.